So, which is better to invest in, SCHD or Bitcoin? I think it's going to be a gamble on how much more woke America is going to get. See, what I think that SCHD is primed to blow up as there's going to be more pride parades, as the divide between Americans are going to get greater in America. And I think that Bitcoin is primed to create generational wealth for you and your offsprings and their offspring if you play this right.
21! Hit me.
Peter.
Hit me. That's 30. Hit me.
So in this video, we're going to hypothesize how America being more woke is going to help SCHD and how that is going to create generational wealth if you invest in Bitcoin now. And in this video, we're going to find out who the real Queen's Gambit of this entire game is. But before we get started, we have to do a recap on what is SCHD really. So SCHD is Schwab US Dividend Equity ETF, and it offers exposure to dividend paying US equities. To be included in the ETF, companies need to have a long track record of dividend distributions. SCHD also considers dividend growth and dividend yield when they're picking companies for their portfolio. When we're looking at the technicals, SCHD actually has some pretty good technicals, with the expense ratio being 0.06% right now, the annual dividend yield being 3.67%, the annual dividend rate being $2.64 the last time I checked, the PE ratio being 14.91, and according to Warren Buffett, anything under 15 is a good buy. Their 5-year return is 10.73%. And right now, at this time, SCHD is actually a really great buy. And later on in this video, I'm going to give you guys the price at which I think SCHD will bottom, which presents the best buying opportunity for you to load up on SCHD. One of the most important places to look is in the holdings analysis charts, because when you're investing, now the most important thing to think about is the macroeconomics. And looking at this, their sector breakdown is very good. They're pretty invested. 16.8% is in electronic technology, and that's good because we need that for AI. 15.68% is invested in health technologies, which is also good because I'm assuming we will need that for sex changes or what they call gender affirmation procedures. Now, I just watched What is a Woman because that documentary was made free on Twitter for a good weekend, and I watched about 10 minutes of it. Now, the whole documentary, if I remember correctly, was about an hour, but it was causing me to go brain dead. So I just skipped parts of it, and I remember one part that really stood out to me.
Telling girls that they can be boys at $70,000 a pop.
The one part where a woman changed into a man and she regretted it so much because she only had that much time to live just because of the procedure. And not only that, she enlightened me on how much money this industry actually is.
Every child that they convince is transgender and in need of medical transition, it generates $1.3 million to pharma.
According to Grandview Research, the sex change or gender affirmation industry was worth around $2 billion more or less in 2021. And if you've been watching my channel for a while, you know that I'm a capitalist, and you'll also know now that I'll be raising my future kids at home, homeschooling them. Last but not least, we have finance at 14.41%, and as I'll talk about later on in this video, these three sectors actually will work very well together in woke America. So the more woke it gets, the more valuable these sectors become, and if you're invested in SCHD, man, you're gonna get much richer. So after skipping through what is a woman, this is one part of the game that I've been hypothesizing. And this is going to trigger a lot of people, but hey, I'm just gonna say it. As the woke agenda gets more pushed, what I think will happen is that gender affirmation surgeries and procedures are going to be more normalized. That means that a lot more people are going to be doing this. But the thing is that these procedures are not cheap. They're expensive. So what people are going to do is they're gonna put it on credit. They're gonna get financing. So in that aspect, we're hitting the finance sector that we just took a look at when it came to SCHD and their holding. Not only that, they're also going to leverage electronic technology, because what helps health technology is leveraging electronic technology in order to make procedures much cheaper and more safer. And to give you a better example of how electronic technology helps health technology is that right now I'm looking at laser eye surgery. When it came out in 1998, adjusted for inflation, the cost of laser eye surgery per eye was $4,000. At the time I'm filming right now, apparently it's around $2,100 per eye on average. How does that happen? How did the cost decrease? Well, that's because electronic technology helped health technology reduce the cost of laser eye surgery. So we could see that happening for gender affirmation procedures as well. If you think about it, what are they trying to do now? Forgive student loan, right? That is one of the big promises that Biden made during his campaign. In order for politicians to get elected into office these days, what it seems to happen is that they have to promise more free. So what if on the next campaign, what they're gonna promise is debt forgiveness for anyone who undertook gender affirmation procedures? Because that's the way that politicians are going to get reelected into office. But the only way to pay for that is for the US government to print more money. And when people start to realize this Ponzi scheme that is happening, the only place that Bitcoin is going to go is up, because people will flood into alternative assets. So right now we can see that SCHD is around $72.13, which is great to dollar cost average into. Looking at his high, it's usually around $81 over here at the end of 2021, beginning of 2022. And the next point was around the end of 2022 in the beginning of December 2022 when it was around 80 bucks. But if you really want to snipe this, you can use Moomoo, which you can use my link below to sign up and get some free stocks. And you can see that I have put a price of $66 and just buy a quantity of 7. Make sure it's a limit order for SCHD. And why did I choose $66? Well, if you take a look at the graph here, the bottom here on October 3rd, 2022, that was around $66. And if you go back in history, you can see the last time we saw that kind of resistance is basically the start of 2021 in January, and price has memory. So that is a support resistance. So what I can expect is if SCHD goes down, I could see them bounce right here at $66 and then go back up. So that's what I expect to happen. That is why I call that the bottom of where we can accumulate, really load up on SCHD. So ultimately, do we invest in SCHD or Bitcoin? I have to admit that this video took some turns. A lot of the examples that you use are hypotheses, but maybe you can use them to form your own hypothesis of what may happen. But right now, I still think that SCHD itself is a really, really good investment, because right now there are two main benefits. One, it is cheap, and two, it pays dividend, which is not the exact benefits that Bitcoin provides right now. Though I think that as more and more people discover the real value of Bitcoin, the money is going to flow into Bitcoin, and the value of Bitcoin is going to explode again, such that at the end of the day, comparing the appreciation between Bitcoin and SCHD is going to be like comparing God to an ant. Now, if you want to learn more about Bitcoin because you're new to it, luckily for you, I made a video that explains everything you need to learn about Bitcoin right over here. Now, if you want to learn more about why I call the US dollar a Ponzi system and that every ETF basically participates in this Ponzi system, check out my last video that I did on VTI versus VT that you can find right here.